Hi everyone, hello, how are you? Welcome back to this channel. I am Krishna Sudhir. I hope you're all doing well, taking care of yourself. Alright, so as you see on the thumbnail today, I am planning to give you an ultimate fiction recommendation if you are a beginner, and that's the whole point. I just realized the reason why I have this channel and make videos is to help out those who are actually trying to cultivate this hobby and is overwhelmed by this amount of books that are out there, and you need to get some specific recommendations, and you stumble upon this video and it helps you, right? So that's the whole point. And I don't know if you believe this, over the last 2.5 years I've read more than 240 books, and I'm so grateful that I found this love and passion that I have for reading, because it has changed me so much as a person. The amount of improvement, like I have improved so much on my mental health and reduced considerably the general anxiety that I have. And overall, as a person, I think I've become more empathetic when I've read stories from different perspectives. And I don't think all brain chemistry work the same way to be influenced by fiction or influenced by just ink on paper. But if it does, and if you do fall under that spectrum of people who find joy in this, then I'm just so happy for you that you have found interest in this. And if you're someone who's trying out, testing waters to see if reading is something that's you, then this video should help you at least try out, by picking some of these books. Yeah, unusually long intro. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, first category that we have is mystery or thrillers. And from the short book category, and it's also kind of famous, I want to talk about Verity by Colin Hoover. And it is the only Colin Hoover book that I appreciate. Yeah, okay, different discussion. But this is a story of an author who is injured and is in coma. And her team is employing a different author, I'm not sure if she's an established author or writer, just hiring that person to come clean up the manuscript and finish the story, publish it, kind of a scenario. So this author who's in a coma, she has everything kept in her office, and her husband is actually walking through the whole process of her writing to this author has come to their house to do this job, and everything that's happening to the author who has come in that house, the creepy daughter they have, and nothing seems to be right with the whole situation. And Verity, who's actually the author who is sick, doesn't seem to be exactly sick as she claimed to be. The ending of this book had actually left me speechless. Now, if you've seen this book everywhere in all TikToks, there is a reason for it. So this is actually mind-bending for someone who's not read like millions of thrillers. This is actually very surprising, and the plot twist is actually good. Yeah, so it's insane, and yeah, I'm not doing a good job explaining this. Okay, this is a book under 225 pages, and it's considered as short, I guess. If you are looking for a quick, fast-paced read under mystery genre, pick this up. Yes. From the famous books criteria, I just have one book that I want you to read, which is Misery by Stephen King. This has everything that you would want in a thriller, and if you are especially recommending books to men in your life, okay, this is no judgment, but I have seen better responses recommending this book to my male friends rather than other books like romances or whatever. Yeah, if you want to recommend a book to your brother or your husband or your fiance or whoever, I think they would enjoy this more. There is so much gore, and there is a hostage situation, and the lady psychopathic villain is actually very creepy, and some of these scenes are actually very vivid. When you read them, you actually, you cringe inside, actually, so vividly. So I think this is a very good pick for a beginner if you're starting out, mystery or thrillers. From my personal favorite, what I have to recommend is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Now, this was my first Alice Feeney book. I have not actually read much of her work, but this was quite mind-bending, and this is actually tricking the reader kind of a book. So you would read assuming something up until the last 20 pages and it's get flipped, and when you go back and just read few sentences or some pages again, then you would actually realize, oh, that's such a clever thing to do. Like you kind of assumed something which the writer did not specifically say, and that actually worked out well for the author to produce a very good plot twist. And it's not something all authors can do very well. Sometimes to just give you an insane twist, they would introduce something at the end and it will not at all match with the whole story. For example, some Frida McFadden books, but this one was not at all like that. This is a story about a husband and a wife who would go into a cabin on is it snowfall or is it on a storm? I forgot that. But that's the premise. They enter into this cabin in which they're trying to stay, kind of like an Airbnb. And I remember everything that's happening inside that house, the pictures I see on the wall and everything that happens between the husband and wife. You don't know who to believe kind of situation. I read this so long ago, but I still remember clearly what the plot twist was. So Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Finney. The next category I have is litfit, literary fiction. Okay, so in this I have again 3 books. The short book is, I don't have the physical copy, I'm going to put it here or here. It's The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman. So the author I want to suggest is Frederick Bachman, and his short book suggestion is Answer Is No. So the story is about a guy who is an introvert who he viscerally hates humankind and just anyone else, who's living alone in an apartment, and he's trying to prove to society, to himself and everyone, that he can sustain and have a very happy, content life without interacting with humans, which means he'll find a work where he's completely working remote. He'll just order food through DoorDash or Swiggy, Zomato kind of thing, and everything that he wants, he would somehow deliver it online, and he would fix anything that's needed in his apartment, he would do it by himself. He would only go outside for a walk when there's absolutely no one. He will try to minimize interaction with his neighbors. So he's a person who's confined, and he's kind of living an experimental life. So one day there is a frying pan or something like very simple like that and domestic goes missing in his apartment, and the committee, the apartment committee would knock on his door to ask about this kind of an investigation and everything that happens after that. So his peaceful life, the bubble in which he lives, is broken because of this small thing, and how he starts to interact with people. It's very wholesome and very so Frederick Bachman, the way how he portrays life from this person's perspective, and how he wishes not to be a social animal. So definitely pick it up. It's a quick read, and it's very reminiscent of answering bigger questions in the most domestic scenarios of life. I don't know, but I was very much impressed by the writing and the prose, so that I picked up a lot of Frederick Bachman books after that. So I'm very sure it will also motivate you to read more. Now, the internet famous book in this category is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, this book is part of a series. It's not actually interconnected series. They are standalone, but they're all regarding celebrities. Taylor Jenkins Reid has written few books that are surrounding the life of celebrities. So this is something like that. Imagine the life of Marilyn Monroe, maybe, and it's completely fictionized. And this story is about Evelyn Hugo, who turns out to be this huge Hollywood star, but all the men that has actually helped her or destroyed her throughout her life as she is becoming this huge star. So the book is written in different POVs, as in there can be TV interviews, there are newspaper articles about her, and also her own monologues inside. I have actually marked few lines and everything inside. Yeah, this was also a very impressive read when you consider under women's fiction. So yes, pick this up if you are looking for a famous TikTok book under literary fiction. This is actually a very good read. Now, my personal favorite that I want you to pick up in a literary fiction is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. It's not completely literary fiction. It is kind of, okay, it's not science fiction, but the whole book plot happens around the development and design of video games back in the 80s. Then it progresses to 90s and 2000s and everything. There are a lot of themes that are dealt in this book, but if you love the concept of developing a video game from a story or a book, and then how important it is to the fandom of that particular story, and what goes behind this industry, and how hard it is to actually prove or make a point in this industry, and everything that goes behind this. There is also a very cute plot of love story in it. There is a very sad event that is happening. So the book was Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabriel 7. Pick it up. Now, all right. Okay, now from the next genre is romance. Okay, I don't know why I make that expression every time I talk about this genre. It's my least favorite genre, actually. But there are a few gems that I found over all these years. I definitely did read a lot of crappy romance books, and I've lost interest in the repetitive plots that they give. So, the short book recommendation from a romance genre is Two Can Play. Is it by Ali Hazelwood? I think it is by Ali Hazelwood. If not, I'm going to change it here. Two Can Play is actually a story of a guy and a girl who works in the premise of video game designing, and how they are working with rival companies and they have to work together for a project, and they get snowed in a cabin. So it's a novella. It's really a fun premise, but at the same time, it's maybe because it's set in this premise, it is not at all boring, and there is no formula-based third act conflicts that are set up. For some reason, it was very refreshing for me, and it is only available as an audiobook or an ebook right now, so that might be a little bit restrictive, but it is worth a read. From the famous book category, I have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I know it is Emily Henry fever again. We have The Great Big Beautiful Life released. I have not read it. No, I have not even buy it. But Emily Henry is like a hit or miss for most people. She is a very famous author who writes romance, women's fiction kind of books. For me, I have not read Beach Read and Book Flowers by Emily Henry. Everything else I have read. And this was my first Emily Henry book, and it is one of her most underrated books. I think this is really good. And this is purely a romance book, not like her other work. And also, I think friends to lovers trope is done very well in this book. So the plot is basically two friends who have this tradition where they annually go on this vacation, and every year as time passes, they realize there is more to their friendship than this. So yeah, it was quite, I don't know, it felt good reading this book. So Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation is a romance book that will get you through very quickly, and it does not have any complicated plot twist or anything. You get what you expect, right? Now, my personal favorite in this, which I want all of you to read, something that I want you to take away from this video, then that is this book, which is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Now, this book, the author's note till acknowledgements, I have read it end to end, the epilogue, everything, even the printer's note. I've read everything because everything makes sense in this book. So the story is about a guy who has lost his limb, actually his leg, to cancer, and a girl who does not have a fully developed arm. I mean, a palm, I would say, yeah. So this is a very sensitive premise to introduce romance as a topic, and there is also an accidental pregnancy happening inside this. So it's not a spoiler, it's there in the blurb. So accidental pregnancy inside a couple who are physically challenged. You would see everything that would give you sadness and like thinking it's just going to be very emotional and everything, but it's not. It's normalizing, everyone, and how everyone should have a romance, and it is how your body and your limitations doesn't define you completely. All these themes are so beautifully portrayed in this book, and anyone who is a romance reader in your life, please gift them this book. They're going to thank you. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Please. Coming to the science fiction category, I have quite a few that are there on my to-be-read shelf, which I'm sure are going to replace some of these. But my current favorites from the short book category is Murderbot Diaries. These are actually short stories, but the first book in this is particularly All Systems Red by Martha Wells. It's a first book in the Murderbot Diaries. So I've mentioned about this book before. It is a story of a murder bot who's like actually built to be a killing machine, but something has went rogue in her brain. Not her. I don't know why I think she's a woman. The robot is gender neutral. Okay, so they think it is supposed to be a killing machine, but they find themselves something gone wrong with their motherboard, and now all it wants is to watch TV shows in its free time, but it is so uncomfortable that people call her on missions and have to stop it in midway watching Netflix shows and go fight wars or stand as a security guard and stuff like that. So it's very heartwarming and very realistic if you think about what could be potentially the future for these bots, right? So that is a short book recommendation from the science fiction genre. All Systems Red. My second recommendation is, again, it's a movie, which is my personal favorite recommendation. It's called Mickey 7. I've already talked about this book in my previous wrap-up, I think. So Robert Pattinson's Mickey 17 is actually the same story, but I suggest read the book first. So it's about a guy who is signing up as an expendable and going on a mission testing out a new planet to see if it is inhabitable or not. An expendable is a person who you can test radioactive elements, or send him out to test new equipments or test destructive fauna, and he would die and he could just be reprinted using proteins, like basically cloned, so that it is okay to have this one human that you can use for testing. And apparently in this world, metals and robots are more expensive than protein to just print another person. So it's not completely outrageous. There are a lot of technicality of how the process is done explained in this book, which is very interesting to read. So yeah, so it is a very good science fiction choice if you are new to this genre and all. Mickey 7. Now, the book that I want to recommend, which is quite becoming famous these days, and I've read this way back, did not know, it did not have that much of a hype back then. It is Blake Crouch's Dark Matter. It is actually a TV series or a movie now. The story is more along the lines of multiverse travel, time travel, and anything that can go wrong when you wake up in a different universe. There is two yous. Yeah, you know what happens. You've seen the Spider-Man movie. So in this book, Jason Dessen, who's a scientist, wakes up and he finds that he's not himself. He doesn't have his wife that he remembers, doesn't have his son, and he's faced with this task to navigate this multiverse and find and go back to his family. Oh boy, yeah. And it's quite an adventure. It is not that thick of a book. Oh, it's less than 350 pages. So, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Our final and my personal favorite genre to talk about is none other than fantasy. So the short book in fantasy, I have so many short book recommendations to give you in fantasy. I have given most of my favorites before too, but this is again Briny and the Roses by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher does a very good job of doing retellings, and this is actually a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is a very short book, under 150 pages or maybe 80 pages or something, but is so well done, the Beauty and the Beast part, and it is very hilarious and very comical situations, and there are action sequences that will actually crack you up. So that's all I'm going to give you. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's short, it's sweet, and fast-paced. Briny and the Roses by T. Kingfisher. Now, the famous book that I want to recommend to you in the fantasy category is, don't tell me that you feel like someone recommend me some other book, because this is something that I feel it is tested and proven right for many people out there. It is ACOTAR. Now, I have so many other books that I have read as an avid reader of 2 years now, that I think does a better job in representing fantasy and everything than ACOTAR. Having said that, if you are a beginner, if you're just starting fantasy, this is a very good start for you. And I'm going to tell you, if you read this first and then move on to Cassandra Clare or Brandon Sanderson, or even Tracy, read Legendborn, or even Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass series, if you want to pick after this, you're going to have more appreciation for those books. But if you're starting out, if you don't have any idea what fairies means, it's not Tinkerbell fairies, it's something else. If you have no idea what magical realms and human realms mean inside a book world, if you want to start putting that in your imagination, then this is a good start. It is very much overhyped. It is overall in TikTok, everywhere, there is so much hype around this book. It's just turning out into a movie series. All that is true. But if you're starting fantasy, pick it up. You will definitely get hooked. And if your goal is to just be obsessed in a world and understand things very easily, have political intrigue, have romance, have magical powers and creatures, all of that, you get it in this, right? So it's not to just say Sarah J. Maas does the best fantasy, then this is the best fantasy book. That is not what I'm saying. But if you're starting out, if you're a beginner, this will help you, right? And when I first read it, I did, mark a lot of quotes and everything. And this is also a Beauty and the Beast kind of retelling, only the first book. But I would still recommend this if you are a beginner, and then move on to high fantasy books. Now, my personal favorite in this genre that I want you to pick up is a fairly new read for me and a new author. It is Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Take a moment to appreciate this book. Okay, I usually never buy hardcovers. First, it's very expensive. Second, it's hard to store and read because there's a dust jacket and all of that. Paperbacks are just floppy and they're simple. But this, surprisingly, the hardcover of this was cheaper in Amazon than the paperback. I don't know. And there is a dust jacket and everything. And it's the first time that I actually read, held a hardback and read it end to end. It's having a spine label here, but nothing else, which I don't appreciate. You should put some effort into your hard bind too. But there is this cover page, and the font is all very big. So yeah, personally, I love holding this book and reading it. But even though it's very uncomfortable, but coming to the plot and story of the book, it's a very different fantasy that I have expected. I thought it would be some sort of like a again, fairy, academia related, but this was very vivid. The book and the setting and the scene, it will haunt you. So there is like a haunted house kind of a thing. There is like a old folklore creature that is haunting you. Then there is dark academia. There is study of archaeology. So it's a very intriguing book, and there is a mystery that you're following throughout the book. There is a small romance plot. Go into this blind. It is not what you expect. Usually, I am very much intrigued in picking up more books by Ava Reid, and as soon as I finish reading some of these books that I hauled recently, I'm going to buy new books on Amazon, and that would be from Ava Reid. Yeah. So my personal recommendation in fantasy, this is very new for me, is Study in Drowning. I can't just get over the fact that I have a very pretty hardcover book with me. I'm usually not the person to fan over how the book looks, but I do appreciate a very good cover and everything. It's just that I don't make irrational financial decisions to get them. That's all. So that was all the books that I wanted to actually recommend to you. If you are a beginner, if you're starting reading different genres, what do you want to pick? These are very good starting points for you. Now, they are not my all-time favorite books. I had actually considered these three criteria when I came up with this list. As in, I need to put a short book, I need to put a famous book, I need to put a personal favorite. So there are a lot more favorites that are in there that I did not talk about in this video. Yes, my favorites change over time, and I don't usually rate my books as 5-star or 10-star, but my internal ranking to them changes based on the new books I read. So I'll try to update these recommendation videos maybe every 6 months. I'll put another ultimate fiction recommendation book and let you know if any of these have changed, if I find new favorites. Okay, so let me know if you have read any of these, if you have your own ultimate recommendation that you want to share with us. Thank you to everyone who have subscribed to the channel, who are watching the videos, taking your time to comment down the opinion that you have under my videos. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm grateful for your participation in this small community. And that is the goal here, that we need to build this community to a bigger audience, and we all can talk about books and how important actually it is for us. With that, I'm gonna wind up. I'll try to make this a short video, and I'll find you somewhere else on the internet. Otherwise, until I catch you in the next video, bye-bye.